Good morning, fourth graders. This is Mrs. Breaux. Today we are going to be doing Unit 8, Lesson 4, Story Problems with Money. Yay! We are going to be working with money and how it relates to the way we understand and use decimals. We're going to be thinking about decimal place values today with regard to money. Before we get started on our problem of the day, we're going to do some work by naming money values in fraction and decimal forms. We're going to create an anchor chart together that you can use in your lesson today and in your lessons on money anytime you need to work with these values and remember those decimal place values. So let me switch my camera so that we can create our anchor chart. Let's go ahead and talk about money, place value, and decimals. Here we go. Let's start with $1. How much is $1 worth in terms of cents? That's right, $1 is worth 100 cents. How much is 1 dime worth? That's right, 10 cents. How about a penny? You got it, 1 cent. Excellent. If we think about $1 as a whole, how can we represent it as a fraction? What would be the fraction of 1 whole if $1 is worth 100 cents? That's right. It would be 100 hundredths, which is 1 whole. How about a dime? We could write a dime as 10 hundredths, which is the same as 1/10. And the penny? You got it. It is 1/100th. These are our fraction forms for these money values. $1, 100 cents, 100 hundredths, or 1 whole. A dime, 10 cents, 10 hundredths, or 1/10. And a penny, 1 cent, 1/100th. Take a moment to turn these fractions into their decimal form. Do you have it? Great, let's go. We can write 1 whole in a decimal form by writing 1 in the ones place, a decimal, and 0 in the tenths place. The number to the left of the decimal is in the ones place and represents 1 whole. To write a dime, we have 0 in the ones place, our decimal point, and 1 to the right of our decimal in the tenths place. To represent a penny, because it represents 1/100th, we need to have a 0 in the ones place, our decimal point, no tenths, 1/100th. Now you have your cent value of each of these pieces of money, your fraction value, and your decimal value. Now let's think about what each one represents. The value of $1 is 100 cents, 100 hundredths, 1 whole. $1 represents 1 whole. Great job. A dime is 10 cents, 10 hundredths, which is equivalent to 1/10. Fraction form, decimal form. Word form, 1/10. So when we're working with a problem that mentions dimes, we can think of it as tenths in all those other problems that we've done involving decimals. That means that our penny, which represents 1 cent, 1/100th, 1/100th in decimal form, is 1/100th in word form. A copy of this anchor chart will be included in your math resources so that you can access it anytime you need to remember your money values, fraction values, and decimal values. And we will use it throughout this lesson to help us as well. Are you ready for your problem of the day? Great, let's get started. Go ahead and read through the problem of the day as I do. If you have a copy of it, you can annotate along with me. If you don't have a copy, that's okay. You can write down the important information. Rachel is explaining the amount of money she has in her pocket by telling the coins she has. She says that she has 5 whole dollars, 4/10ths of a dollar, and 3/100ths of a dollar. What coins does she have? How many of each does she have? And how much money does Rachel have? Go ahead and read the problem again to yourself. I'm going to annotate mine. Again, you can write down important information and be sure to write down the questions we need to answer if you don't have a copy of this page. So again, she has 4 whole dollars, 4/10ths of a dollar, and 3/100ths of a dollar. We have 3 questions to answer today. We need to first answer, what coins does she have? We also need to answer, how many of each does she have? And finally, we need to answer, how much money does Rachel have? So, just like we have used place value charts when working with decimals, we can use a place value chart that also represents dollars, dimes, and pennies, which also represents wholes, tenths, and hundredths. Go ahead and pause the video and take a moment to draw your place value chart. And then come back and we'll do some more work together. Are you ready? Great. We can represent a whole number, decimal, tenths, and hundreds using a place value chart. When dealing with money, just like we did on our anchor chart at the beginning, we can identify those as pieces of money. Now, it doesn't talk about how many bills she has, so let's say that these dollars are silver dollars or dollar coins, which are very rare and very special. So we can label our wholes as what coin? That's right, dollars. We can label our tenths as what coin? You got it, dimes. And our hundredths? Pennies. Perfect. So to answer the first question, what coins does she have? She has dollars. She has tenths of a dollar, which are dimes. And she has hundredths of a dollar, which are pennies. So we can answer the first question right away. She has dollars, dimes, and pennies. Great job. The next question says, how many of each does she have? We can look at the problem to determine that. We can also fill in our place value chart. Let's go ahead and finish our place value chart to determine how much of each she has. We're going to be looking at dollars, dimes, and pennies. Going back to our anchor chart that we did in the beginning, we can fill in the decimal values for the dollars, dimes, and pennies. Let's keep this in mind. When we think about dollars, we know that it represents a whole number. How many whole dollars does she have? That's right, 5. And just like in our anchor chart, we're going to write 5 in the ones place, decimal, and then 0 in the tens place. We can also write a 0 in the hundreds place. Now let's look at the dimes, or the tenths. It says she has 4/10 of a dollar. So there are 0 wholes, 4/10, and 0 hundredths. For pennies, she has 3 hundredths, which is a penny. So she has 0 wholes, 0 tenths, and 3 hundredths. So, to answer the next question, how many of each does she have? She has 5 whole dollars, 4 dimes, and 3 pennies. Nice. We've answered the first 2 questions. The last question says, how much money does Rachel have? We can look at our place value chart and we can add each place value to get our total amount. So to find the total, we can add 5 wholes plus 4/10 plus 3 hundredths. And when we add those up, we add the hundredths, add the tenths, don't forget your decimal, and add the wholes. So, how much money does she have? She has $5.43. And we can put our dollar sign in front of the 5 to show that. In your lesson today, you're going to solve more problems where you need to write money as decimals. Use the place value anchor chart that we made at the beginning of this lesson and that is included in your math resources. Don't forget to write out a place value chart when you need to organize your money amounts. If there's more than one question, take one at a time and go through each step carefully. Today, you want to think how many wholes, how many tenths, and how many hundredths do we have? You can use place values to represent easily. Visit your teacher during office hours if you need help, and be sure to complete your exit ticket in the Google Classroom. Thank you for joining me today. Have fun with your math. I'll see you next time.